Hello.
We're live, and we're live. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Comic Shop Talk Live, brought to you by Black Hat Comics and Rockin' Milpitas, your one-stop shop for all things superhero. Shop online at black-cat-comics.com. We're here keeping you connected to the comic book community. I'm Mark.
I'm Francie.
And we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. It's an interactive show. We're here to talk about new comics, everything in the world of comics. Feel free to throw your questions, comments, concerns, your interests. We want to hear what you're reading, what you're thinking about talking about comics.
What's top of your stack this week?
Bring it at us as we go through our usual routine.
Yes.
Always like to start the show with Comic Shop News. Comic Shop News. Always something big moving and shaking in the world of comics.
Yes.
This week it's Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. You might have picked up the new comic a couple of weeks ago to get you ready for the show that they've just started filming. Another one of these. Is it? They wrapped it up now?
They just wrapped it.
And there you go. It's a wrap. Is that a Disney Plus thing?
It's a Disney Plus thing, supposed to be coming out July of next year.
Super awesome. So for those of you who were watching Iron Fist and saying to yourself, why a white guy? Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu is the original Marvel Master of Kung Fu. So we're all excited about that. Maybe we'll see Iron Fist show up in that anyway. So pick up the comic.
Awesome sauce.
It would be cool. I don't know.
Awesome
As I recall, I don't know if we've ever seen them in the same comic, but that would be cool. I'm ecstatic about Disney Plus and all the exciting stuff. We've talked about WandaVision. Super excited about WandaVision. Mandalorian starts next Friday, right? The new season 2 of Mandalorian. Everybody's jazzed about that. The Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, obviously Falcon and I almost said Falcon and the Snowman, but that's something else entirely. Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be awesome. So if for some reason you haven't signed up for your Disney Plus account, do so before next Friday.
Yes.
Watch that season 1 Mandalorian. Get ready for season 2 and all of the awesomeness. I've said for a long time, going back 100 years, like 20 years ago, we were all talking about the Watchmen movie and how they could make a Watchmen movie. And I said back then that serialized was the way to do this stuff, that put it on HBO, because back then HBO was the only thing there was, and do it in do Watchmen in 12 one-hour episodes, do a 1-hour episode for each issue of the book. And now Disney Plus is kind of that forum for that sort of thing.
Well, and HBO did do that.
And HBO is doing exactly that. And like I say, I think that's the best way to do comic book adaptation stuff, because you can really get into the gritty, gory details, and you can't stuff all this stuff into 1 2-hour movie. You got to give it time to unfold and all that kind of thing. So I love Disney Plus, and I'm excited about all the things that they're going to be rolling out.
Yes.
And yes, Mandalorian. I mean, who isn't excited about Mandalorian in season 2? And
something to look forward to.
And which brings us to, we always shy away from reality here. We don't talk reality because that's not what we're here for. We're keeping it connected to the comic book community. But there's a little bit of collision this week, because Tom King is encouraging folks to get out there and vote, and Michael Keaton dressed up like Batman.
He didn't dress up like Batman.
Okay, well, Michael Keaton is encouraging people to vote too, and we are also encouraging you to vote. Voting day is right around the corner. Again, we don't get into anything, not going to take sides, but just to say, get out there and cast your vote. Captain America wants you to vote. It's your duty.
So Tom King is giving out free signed copies of Batman Detective, I think 1027 in Philadelphia, for voters in line. So I think that's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
That's pretty cool.
Everybody should do their part. Everybody has a thing that they can do, and everybody should do it. Because voting is the most important thing a person can do for their society. So get out there and vote.
You can't, if you don't vote, you can't complain about it.
And if you're so inclined, a lot of the Marvel Cinematic folks got together with Kamala Harris and did one of those Zoom things, which is very entertaining. So voting's great. You get a sticker. That's right, Daniel.
Stickers are great.
who
And
doesn't do things for stickers?
Robert Downey Jr. and the Science Brothers and his bromance with Hulk. Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo.
They're supposed to be doing something today too. Today or this weekend or sometime soon. So
well, I watched a little of the Kamala Harris thing because I am religiously obligated to participate in anything Chris Evans does. So
Kamala, we represent California.
That was fun and entertaining. So look for that if you're so inclined. And get out and vote November 3rd if you haven't voted already. Wear a mask.
And if you've already voted, thank you.
Yes. And like I say, Captain America says it's your civil duty. And the last part of Comic Shop News is our Kickstarter update.
So we've got 7 days to go. We've exceeded our goal and our stretch goal. So we're just totally awesomely excited and so grateful. So a lot of folks have asked, how can I get additional copies for friends and family without buying the whole package? So we've added a couple of additional tiers so you can go in and buy just an extra copy or more than one if you want of the printed version of the book. So you can edit your existing pledge or you can make a new pledge. There's 2 different options to do that. So that is available now.
And if you haven't participated with the Kickstarter, please do so if you're so inclined. If you are not so inclined as to participate in the Kickstarter, we will be making the comic available for pre-order on the website and on the publisher site very soon. So be on the lookout for that and get those pre-orders ready.
And the publisher's website is black-cat-publishing.com.
There you go. Tell a friend. So yes, we're very excited about the comic. Thank you for everybody. Thank you to everybody for all of your support, for your financial support, your emotional support, your social media support. We sincerely appreciate it.
You've made a dream come true. So thank you.
There you go. Especially in a year like this, it's great to make dreams come true.
It is.
Especially
since you can't go to Disneyland.
Yes. Don't remind me. I'm dying to go to Disneyland. And I guess real quick, let's give the pitch for next week. What's the lineup for our spooktacular next week?
Sure, yeah. So we've got Friday is when it really officially starts. At 6 o'clock Pacific time, we're doing Kazi's Classics. So Kazi's got some horror, silver, bronze, age books that he's going to be making. We're going to be making it live. So what that means is on Facebook and YouTube, we're gonna he's gonna showcase, tell a little story about each of the books. And when he's done with the story, I literally make it live on Shopify, and it's first come, first serve. So whoever wants to buy it, got to go online, buy it right there on the spot. And we'll go through like half a dozen books that day.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna take a little break. And then at 7 p.m. Pacific time, we're doing our spooktacular story time. So we've got some stories that we've written that we want to share with you guys, and we want to invite you, if you've written some stories, to join us on a free Zoom call to share your stories. You can come in costume if you want. Camera can be on, camera can be off. We're totally easy. We just want to get together with you guys and share some spooky stories. And then from now all the way until the end or the end of the month, so until midnight on Halloween, we've got a special Horror 20 code that you can use for 20% off all of horror merchandise on our online store. So stock up on the creepy and you will get some thrills and shocks.
At a couple of dollars off. And people are already, the orders are coming in.
It's awesome.
So take advantage of that. It's lots of great stuff in that horror queue. Lots of fun stuff to read at a great price.
Yeah.
So get in there, get stuff before it's gone. Because like I say, lots of folks getting up on that.
There's a lot of great Archie horror stuff.
Yes, there is lots of great Archie horror stuff.
I'd have to say, if I had to rank them, the Chilling Tales of Sabrina is like number 1. And then the Afterlife with Archie number 2. And then the Jughead Werewolf one, 3. And then Vampironica 4. If anyone was asking and cared.
I would go Afterlife 1, Sabrina 2, Vampironica 3, Jughead 4. Just because I like the art in Vampironica a little better. I love the Jughead story, but I like the Vampironica art a little better. I have to give number 1 to Afterlife. Afterlife with Archie was, I thought, at least in trade paperback form, one of the best graphic novels there is. I absolutely loved Afterlife with Archie.
Well,
and if you haven't read it, it's an excellent book to pick up for Halloween.
if you've seen the Sabrina Netflix show, the comic is not like that. The comic is gritty and horrific, and like they go there. Like
Yes.
they go there. Like there's parts of it I'm like, oh no way! Like I'm reading the book, and when you can shock this horror fan, like that's a good thing. So
what they need to get back out is when they did Betty the Vampire Slayer versus Vampironica. So like Betty was Buffy and Veronica was Vampirella.
Cool.
And the whole bit back when, you know, Buffy was all the rage.
Speaking of, and we can start.
So shall we just roll right into the new comics then while we're talking Halloween and comics? Ooh.
So Madam Satan is a character in the Chilling Tales of Sabrina comic, and she is exactly the title, Madam Satan. So she's the orchestrator of all kinds of horrificness, and she goes to depths of evil that even the Joker would be like, dang. So it's really good. I'm really excited to read this. I haven't read it yet, but I love the character. I mean, come on. Yeah, I can show that. Look at that. Look at the eyes there. The skull eyes. Yeah. Please, sir, can I have some more? So that came out this week, and I'm really excited to read that just in time for Halloween.
The Archie horror stuff is amazing. Is absolutely amazing.
Really
if you're
good.
Any kind of comic fan, any kind of horror fan, you want to get up on all of that. And like I say, start with Afterlife or Sabrina. It was really great.
We miss you too, Nicole.
And you gotta love any comic that just says Satan really big. I
mean,
I know that's probably backwards for you guys, but come on. That's pretty darn awesome.
Not us. It says
Good
not
song.
us.
While we're there, why don't you bust out that one?
So this is fun too. So this is a one shot. I believe it's one shot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Stranger Things Halloween special. And it's basically the kids sit around a campfire and tell spooky stories. But since they've lived true horror, their stories are pretty horrific. But it's a great read. And this is the one I wanted to show you guys. There's some really creepy stuff that happens. Spoiler. Great art, great read. One shot Halloween special. Yes, please. Thank you.
We've said for the last couple of weeks how awesome the Halloween comics
this time of year.
I love
so
Halloween
much.
comic specials from DC, the Marvel ones, everybody. It's tons of fun. I've really enjoyed the Stranger Things. Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
So last week's DC's Doomed and the Damned, it was a Halloween special. Like the last 2 or 3 stories in there didn't have anything to do with Halloween. It's like we need some filler. I mean, they're good stories, but like, was it scary? Did it have a werewolf in it or a pumpkin? No.
No, just like random.
Just like here's a random. I mean, the Dark Side story was good, but what did it have to do with Halloween other than it had Dark Side in it?
Not very Halloween-y.
But any hoodle.
But I love the Stranger Things stuff. I myself also am looking forward to reading this. But they've done a good job with all these Stranger Things comics. If you like the show, you should definitely pick up the comics. Notably, Volume 1 takes place during Season 1 of the show. And that's really interesting. It's showing you a lot of what's going on while everything that you see in the episode is going on. Yeah. And that's really fun. And then Volume 2 is its own kind of whole separate story, its own individual story. So that's really fun. Now I've got specials. They do like an all ages graphic novel line. So like I say, if you like the show, like everybody does, again, it's a really great timely read at this Halloween era.
If I remember right, the first version, because they go through like 4-issue minis, Stranger Things, just like Dark Horse is genius for that. I think the first volume is like what happens with Will the whole time.
Right.
So you get more of that. I think that's what happened in Season 2 of the show too. But it's some stuff that helps to fill in the gaps, what was happening behind the scenes. It's good stuff. Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Is that my turn?
Good times.
All right. Ba-bam. This is my book of the week. This is frankly becoming kind of my book of the year. This is the, I think, C cover, the Art Germ cover to Fantastic Four number 25. Well, I almost don't even know where to start. This book's been getting a little bit of attention. This particular number 25 has been getting a little attention. It's one of those, status quo changing, blah, 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 sorts of things. And it's indicative of a lot of things that I want to talk about a little more when I get to a couple other books in the stack. Marvel is just on fire right now. Marvel is doing a really great job of giving you what you love about their titles in new, fun, exciting ways. This is the Fantastic Four. This is your Fantastic Four. Reed, Ben, Johnny, and Sue having adventures, and that's all great. It feels very familiar, but the stories are new. The circumstances are new and different and challenging and exciting. And boy, I've been loving this run from the very beginning. I was encouraging you guys to check out the Empire stuff, to pick up Fantastic Four during Empire. And if you didn't take my word for it, here's your real jump-in point. Fantastic Four, everybody knows, is the beginning of the Marvel Universe. Fantastic Four #1 is the beginning of the whole thing. And for a long, long time, Fantastic Four as a book was the backbone of Marvel continuity. And it got away from that for a long time as the X-Men gained popularity, as Spider-Man gained popularity, all these other things, as events became the main continuity. Now with FF25, very subtly, they're getting back to the idea that the Marvel Universe starts with the FF and spreads out. And so things happen in this book that are gonna cross over, transfer throughout the whole Marvel Universe. It's sort of, I don't even want to get too far into it. Pick it up, read it for yourself. It's one of those big double-sized issues. It's got this beautiful cover. It's got a beautiful Alex Ross Black Bolt cover. The A cover is also very savvy. The interior art, let me find it, that's a fairly non-spoilerific read in his lab kind of page.
I have a question.
Really cool art, great stories, yes.
I have a question. Correct me if I get my memory wrong, isn't Fantastic Four Stan Lee's answer to the Justice League? No. Yes?
No, the Avengers is his answer to the Justice League. But
right.
in a manner of speaking, yes. The Justice League came out in that issue of Showcase and was a real big hit. And so then Stan's boss wanted a superhero comic.
Yeah.
And so Stan took DC's Challengers of the Unknown, gave them DC's Doom Patrol origin, and called them the Fantastic Four.
That's right. Yeah, I remember.
Much like he took their Doom Patrol and called them the X-Men. Look, you all know nobody loves Stan more than I do, but let's face it.
A lot of pooching.
And comics is always like that. But come on, that cover's gorgeous.
Yeah.
This book has everything. It's the Fantastic Four you've known and always loved in new and exciting stories. Pick up FF because it's awesome. And if you don't mind, I'm going to continue that tangent because this book does a lot of the same thing. This is Iron Man #2. Man. Another beautiful Alex Ross cover.
So
Marvel
talented.
is getting their money out of Alex Ross these days, and they should because he's worth every dime. Okay, so this is the second issue of the run, much like Fantastic Four, much like Amazing Spider-Man, much like the Avengers, much like Captain America, much like a lot of Marvel books that I'm reading and loving right now. They're doing a brilliant job of a kind of back to basics, but with new villains and new side characters and new circumstances and new events. And so it's very familiar, but also new. And it's tough to do. You know, comics usually does one of two things. They either kind of rehash the classic stuff because they know you love it, or they give you something totally way out there, new, fun, different, exciting. And right now, Marvel, I feel, is doing a great job of both. This is the Tony Stark that I've been reading my whole life. This is the Tony Stark that has been living in this Marvel universe all these years and has done all these things. But they're not just regurgitating all the things that you've seen before. They're taking that, his classic personality and character, and finding new things to do with them. So it's just a great time to be reading books that you love, and it's a great time to be trying new Marvel books because they'll remind you of why they've been so popular all these years in the first place. And like I say, I can go on and on with the stack. I'll say all these same things when I get to Daredevil in a little bit.
Yeah, and Immortal Hulk's been really good too.
Immortal Hulk is a great example of what I'm talking about. Yeah. They take, the basics that everybody knows, but giving it a little zing.
Also, top of my stack this week is Death Metal Robin King. So, contrary to my previous rants and raves, I'm actually really digging this one. So this one talks about the origin of Robin King a little bit more and sees kind of him coming into his own more. And it's by I think it's Riley Rossmo, which I really like. I really like this.
That's a good page.
I know, but that might be a spoiler.
Yeah,
so,
looks like.
Yeah, you can't really tell what's going on here. So, but I really like. It's very cartoony. It's very stylistic. It's a little bit longer. There you go. A little bit more time. There you go. It's a great read. It's not all over the place like some of the other stuff, so it's a lot easier to follow. Plus, there's a little additional like 3-pager story at the back. So it was a good read, good fun read. So make sure you add that to your stack. And there's a ton more one-shots coming still. And I think there's going to be some crossover into the Justice League with Death Metal.
Justice League's crossing over right now.
Yeah. So there's more. Boy, this Death Metal thing is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's good. It's fun times. Fun times.
So you like that one better than a couple of the other ones that you read?
Some of the one-shots were hit and miss. Some of them were an integral part of the regular story. So you had to read them, and they made sense. Others were just kind of random origin, what's going on in the other multiverses, and it was really confusing to keep track of everything, to be honest. But this one is a lot more on the mainstream title, so it's a lot easier to follow.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Back to me.
Back to you.
We want to hear from you guys.
Yes.
What are you reading? What's on the top of your stack this week? What did you love last week? What are you looking forward to maybe for next week? What are you dressing up for as Halloween? What's your Halloween plans besides checking out our sale and our spooky story-a-thon? Okay, so I already told you I was going to tell you about this one.
Look at how beautiful that cover is.
Here's another Alex Ross Timeless cover. Love them.
Come on.
Talk about him every week.
Gorgeous.
In the Wednesday video and in this video, because come on, even if you don't read Daredevil, that's worth $4. That's a cover that's worth $4. Okay, so Daredevil is what I've said about all the others. It's a fantastic mix of the Daredevil that you know and love, the Daredevil that you've been reading about, or that's just on the Netflix show or whatever have you, but with new spins, new twists. Particularly this issue so defines what I'm talking about. Why? Because in this issue, Daredevil teams up with Spider-Man and pays a visit to the Kingpin. And you say to yourself, geez, come on, Cause. I've seen him team up with Spider-Man 100,000 times. Oh, Daredevil versus the Kingpin? Oh, how original. But you pick up the issue, you start reading it, and suddenly 22 pages later, you're dying for the next issue. Because this is the world that Matt Murdock lives in. He lives in a world where Kingpin has his fat thumbs and everything. He lives in a world where there is constant struggle, constant strife. He lives in a world where Spidey is his only friend. And so, yes, you've seen some of these elements before because that's the world that we're in. But it's an evolved world. It's not Daredevil versus Kingpin. You're seeing the matchup between these two people who have faced each other 1,000 times and who hate each other down to their toenails. And it's gripping, it's exciting. And Matt Murdock continues to evolve as a character, as people do. Marvel's just doing a great job of writing people in superhero costumes. And it's a theme, I don't even know how conscious that they're being with it, but they're all written by different writers and all done by different creative teams. But there's this element across the whole line of familiarity, but new, fun, and exciting. And, which is a great reason to jump into any Marvel book right now. But I've been talking up Daredevil forever. Daredevil is self-contained, always has great writers, great artists. There's never a bad time to jump into Daredevil.
Yeah, some of my favorite Marvel stuff is Daredevil.
And
across the board.
No matter how popular he gets, I still feel he's very underrated. When the Netflix show came, everybody was like, the show's so good. Oh, Daredevil's so good. And everybody fixates on the Miller stuff, and that's all great. But there's lots of great eras of Daredevil. We've been in, we've gone through like 3 or 4 great eras of Daredevil in the last 10 years, 20 years. So without flogging a dead horse, read Daredevil. And if you don't believe any of the things I say, look at that cover. Drop $4 on this cover and give it a read and see if that doesn't make you want to read the next one.
The Brian Michael Bendis, Alex Maleev run was like some of the best stuff I've ever read. That's
very true. I totally support that. I talk about the Punisher, one of the Punisher issues of that series all the time. Let me give you a 10-year-old spoiler, because old Matty Boy's in jail. He's got himself locked up. And so Frank turns himself in, gets himself arrested so that he can have Matt's back in prison. Isn't that nice of Frank? Matt doesn't even like Frank, but Frank gets himself arrested. Well, prison riot breaks out. And Matt gets all stressed because he knows that in the middle of this prison riot is going to be Frank Castle ripping dudes' heads off and
pulling spines
out. Yeah, just ripping out spines and killing people with those spines. And so Matt breaks out of his own cell to find Frank, to stop Frank from killing all these people. Spoiler: when he finds Frank's sitting in his cell reading a book.
Nice.
There's this massive riot going on everywhere, and Matt's thinking he's going to have to save all these convicts from Frank. And when he finds Frank's reading a book. I have never seen a panel where Frank Castle is reading a book. Maybe like How to Build Bombs or something kind of book, but not like a book. And he kind of looks up from the book and looks at Matt and is like, "What took you so long?" I just love unexpected things. That's what great writers do. Is that you turn the page and it's a curveball. And anyway,
like,
so Daredevil has
Yeah.
Just tons of great eras, tons of great comics. Read some Daredevil.
Kevin Smith's run, also a great run.
Yes. Kevin Smith's and Michael's with me. I love this run of Daredevil. It's true. Chip Zdarsky is the guy writing this. There you go, Phil. You're with me. Like I say, one of the best books Marvel does has been one of the best books Marvel does for a long, long time. So if you're not reading it, read Daredevil.
So Stillwater's on top of Phil's list. And this one's on top of Michael's list, just like on top of mine too. So this has been so much fun. Like all the Sean Murphy stuff, Curse the White Knight. It's just a great, different take on Gotham and the Batman universe. So you have to kind of put your Elseworlds hat on when you read this and kind of forget and ignore the history, because this is a completely different universe, completely different origin stories. And so this book is no different. So this talks about where Harley meets Jack Napier for the first time. And she's not the Harley you think, and he's not the Jack Joker that you think. So, but it's a fascinating read, great art. It's well paced, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. So just to give you a little bit of a glimpse. I mean, come on. Stuff's awesome. Look at that. I love this guy's art. I love his pacing too. There, we talk about writing, we talk about art, but we don't talk about pacing. And you reminded me of it, about turning that page. Mm-hmm. You build and you build and you build. You got like a slow boil, and all of a sudden it's a rapid boil. And you turn that page and you're like, "Oh, no, he didn't." So there's something to be said about, the right panel at the right time when the reader is just like at the edge. And Sean Murphy does a really good job of that.
That's super true. Pacing is one of the most important things in comics.
Batman Detective, yes. Mm-hmm.
Detective is so good. Detective has been so good for a long time. Every bit as good as the core Batman title. And Phil, you mentioned Stillwater, and I haven't read it, but it is my one of the tips that I always say, which is to grab the first issue of any Image book that comes your way. If it looks at all like something that's going to strike your interest, pick it up, because you'll probably love it. And if you go, well, if it's here next week, I'll grab it. You'll show up next week and it'll be gone. Like I say, Stillwater is that book. They just seem to kind of explode out of the gate every single time. Image has an amazing eye for talent.
Yes, Stillwater's on the list. It's in my stack at home. Yes, I'm excited.
Good stuff.
Aftershock's been putting out good stuff. AWA's been putting out great stuff. Scout Comics, Vault Comics.
Yeah.
Love all the independent press folks.
Yep, that's super true.
Great stuff.
I'd say just a great time across the board
Good
for
times.
genre fiction,
Yes.
for horror books, for
Yes.
just if you love comics, just for trying stuff. Stillwater. I always say about Image because 8.5 times out of 10 you're going to love that book. But by and large, it's kind of true with just about any number one, especially from the indie guys. If you like the artist, if it seems like something that's going to strike your fancy, give it a try. Drop $4. It will probably. Like Resistance. When Resistance came from it, now it's J. Michael Straczynski, so obviously you know it's going to be pretty good. But wow, that book blew me away, and all the first issues from AWA have blown me away.
Very prophetic. Was Devil's Highway this week too?
Yes, Devil's Highway 4
that
was this
book is
week.
messed up. It's so good. It's creepy serial killer truck driver stuff, and if you follow serial killers like I do, because I'm a weirdo, you'll find that there's it's very well researched, and it's so creepy because you feel like it could happen. Like the story might actually be true because of all the real horror that exists in the trucking industry. So I will just leave it at that.
Phil asked, is Aquaman ending? Yes, I believe it is. DC is wrapping up all kinds of books. Aquaman, I'm pretty darn sure, is one of them. In the next couple issues. I don't think this week's was the last one. But your last issue is right around the corner. Okay. Justice League Odyssey is ending very sadly. Batgirl will be ending this week. So yeah, DC is
they're rejiggering
is pulling the plug on a few things, but they're relaunching a few things with the Future State and some other stuff. So they're in a state of transition, which is always fun. And yeah, Department of Truth. I haven't read that yet, but I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah.
We talked about that just a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. What did you do with that Harvey Oswald cover? Do you still have it?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I still have it.
In his secret
Every
stash.
comic book store guy has a box that he puts things in that as they mature is his fine wine box.
My God.
You put stuff in this box and you wait for it to mature like a fine wine. Okay.
I like the cheap stuff. Give me the $5 bottle. I want it now.
I love the cheap stuff too. But you know, I have customers that aren't as cheap as I am. Okay, so since we're going on the indie thing real quick, because I have a lot of Marvel, but I definitely wanted to talk about this Mars Attacks Red. Says it versus Reds or just Mars Attacks Red? So Mars. Oh, I get it, like a sentence. Mars Attacks Red Sonja. Okay. And maybe you're tired of hearing me talk about mashups. Maybe you're tired of hearing me talk about Dynamite. But I love the mashups that have been going on with the publishers, with the franchises. A couple of weeks ago, last week we talked about Transformers, Back to the Future. Mars Attacks Red Sonja is so much fun, because like I was talking about fusion with the Marvel stuff. This is a brilliant fusion of the absolute ridiculousness that Mars Attacks is. There is no one that knows anything about Mars Attacks will tell you to take it seriously. There's nothing about Mars Attacks to take seriously. It's a trading card that exploded into everything. So it's
one
just
of Tim Burton's best movies.
It really is. I love that movie because of what I'm talking about, because it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense. And it's ridiculous, and that's awesome.
And it still works.
And so, yeah, right, but it still works, and that's what this comic is. Half of it is totally stupid and ridiculous, but the Red Sonja part is barbarian action awesomeness. Red Sonja is never ridiculous. Red Sonja will cut your head off and suck the blood out of it. So, like I say, it's every bit as ridiculous that you want Mars Attacks to be, but it's every bit as swashbuckling as you want a good Red Sonja comic to be.
Show me a little sneak peek.
Dun, dun, dun. Let me show you. Like that.
Give it a second. Let them see it.
Come on. Awesome.
So great.
Sticking your sword in a Martian. Who doesn't want to do that? So
their big bodies and their little heads.
It's just, I don't know. It's awesome. So like all the mashups have been, this is a ton of fun. Transformers, My Little Pony, Star Trek, Planet of the Apes,
Transformers Back to the Future.
Transformers Back to the Future. As I said last week, and this is such a great example of it, is that it gives you the best of both franchises. In a perfect world, it shows you exactly why people would read Mars Attacks, and it shows you exactly why people would read Red Sonja. And I've just had a ton of fun with all the different things. Dynamite's doing a whole bunch of them on a, I don't want to say more serious note, on a more Halloween-y kind of note. Check out Dynamite, which is teaming up Vampirella, Red Sonja, all their franchises into a zombie fest. So you get zombie Deja Thoris, zombie Red Sonja, zombie Vampirella. Who doesn't love zombies? Who doesn't love mashups? I'm just crazy about Dynamite these days. And like I say, this is a good reason why. And check out Vampirella, check out Red Sonja, check out Vampirella Red Sonja, check out Deja Thoris, a lot of the other stuff they do for, again, maybe a more serious mainstream kind of look at the stuff that they do.
Thank you, Phil. We appreciate that very much. Glad you enjoy the show.
Thank you much.
By the way, you guys, I can't read that because my glasses. I don't have my glasses.
Pepe Larraz, Guardians of the Galaxy versus Aliens tease. No, I have not seen that. Is that a cover for the new Guardians? I don't know, but I am very excited to see Alien and Predator coming to the Marvel Universe because much like them incorporating Conan like in the Savage Avengers, I really look forward to. And I know the purists will strongly disagree. I don't take away 1 second from all the awesomeness that Dark Horse has done with those franchises for 20 plus years. Dark Horse deserves all the credit in the world for keeping those franchises alive and in the face of the public. But I'm a Marvel guy, and so I want to see Predator invade the Marvel Universe. That's just how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Good times.
Good times.
So the last, I need to work out just to lift this one. So this came out this week. Fables Compendium 1. It's got issues 1 through 41, plus the 1001 Nights, I think, wolf story in it. If you've never read Fables, you're really missing out. But I have to tell you, if you don't like fantasy stuff, you won't like this book. It's fantasy, but it's done so well. Bill Willingham does a phenomenal job creating a whole universe of fables. So all of the fable stories that you've heard, Snow White, Cinderella, everything. Imagine if they were real, living in secret in New York City. So that's kind of a quick elevator pitch for Fables, but it's so much more than that. And it was years of awesome reading. And so I love that they've collected it into these big tomes so that you don't have like 20 trades. You can get like 2 or 3 of these big guys and have the whole complete series. So if you haven't read Fables, check it out. It's a great way to read it in this one big collection, and you will not be disappointed. And next time, if I remember, I've got some original art from that. I can do some show and tell. That's the only piece of original art I've really ever bought is from the Fables franchise.
Let me see that real quick. I'm going to add a couple of plugs to this, and unfortunately, I will contradict one thing that you said. I don't care if you don't like fantasy, read it anyway. And I'll tell you why. Number one, it's crime fiction. These are all fantasy characters that you know and love, but this is a crime drama. It has a lot of other elements, but it's a kind of whodunit for the most part, and it's fascinating. Number two, aside from the large corral of beautiful art and artists, Bill Willingham is one of the greatest artists of all time. Bill Willingham is a truly unique talent, and I don't say that a lot. So if you don't like any of the things we've said about this book, you should still read it because Bill Willingham is a wordsmith and a genius. And I just love, like she said, getting giant books like this. I picked up, Michael, I know you read Irredeemable. We were reading Irredeemable when it came out. I picked up the giant tome like this of Irredeemable and devoured it in like 2 days. It's really fun to get all the stories into one big giant thing like that.
And the art by Steve Lealoha is phenomenal. And he's a sweet, sweet guy. And we've worked on trying to get him into the store. And maybe post-COVID we can do that because he's local. So he is married to Trina Robbins as well. So a little bit of comic shop royalty. He's
another amazing and unique talent.
You're gonna have to read because I can't.
Okay. I
I have my glasses today. Sorry.
That's why.
Scumbag.
So Scumbag, it is a series, I believe. It's not a one shot. I don't know too much about it except that it's written by Rick Remender, and anything from Rick Remender goes in my stack. So it's in my box. I just haven't gotten there yet. So I would recommend it blindly just because it says Rick Remender on it. What is that? I don't know.
Yeah, you get a headache. You would get a workout for sure. Ugh.
That's
This is
true.
literally probably, no joke, 10 pounds.
Probably more. That's
I
a
have a
heck of a book.
10-pound weight. This is probably 15 pounds.
But I think you'd be surprised how quickly you got through that book, because that's
So
a page
good.
turner. Fables is
So good.
Fables will keep you reading, much
Yes.
like Irredeemable and Incorruptible.
You should talk about that because you just about finished that.
Yeah, I said I read it in like 2 days.
Yeah.
So I don't have one handy, but Boom Studios, a long time ago, Mark Waid, a master of all things, did a couple of series, one called Irredeemable and one called Incorruptible. Irredeemable is the story of the world's greatest superhero gone rogue. One day he has a really bad day and he flips out and takes it out on the world, and what happens in a world where Superman turns evil. It's absolutely brilliant, just like everything Mark Waid does.
Psychological.
If you read Kingdom Come and loved Kingdom Come, if you've read anything from Mark Waid, you should read Irredeemable because it's truly awesome. And then Incorruptible is the flip side, is the story of the world's greatest supervillain, and what happens when he becomes the only superhero. Because when his name's Plutonian, and Irredeemable, when the Superman archetype turns evil and starts destroying the world, the main villain in the world decides that he needs to step up and save the world from the superhero.
I like this guy, Phil. Yes, Phil. Batman is way better than Superman.
Sorry, Phil. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. The original is still the best.
Nope. Batman doesn't need any superpowers. He's just super rich.
Superman doesn't need a fancy car. And he's already the world's greatest detective.
No, he's not.
Anyway.
We could go on and on.
Okay, the thing is, as I always like to say, because it's fun to jab back and forth, but the reality is that Batman's crime fiction and Superman is science fiction, and so, I don't know, they're really not at all the same thing. They just live in the same universe. Okay.
We only fight about two things: air hockey and who's better, Batman or Superman. Like literally, that's the only two things we fight about. Because I'm way better at air hockey than he is. So.
Okay, so my last book in the stack is Spider-Woman. Spider-Woman number 5 or Spider-Woman number 100, depending on who you ask. I've always been a big fan of Spider-Woman, and it's really great to see them bringing her back and getting her own book. I'm mostly showing this just because this is another one of those Alex Ross timeless covers that sells itself, but also because it's a great example of everything I've been talking about. If you don't know anything about Spider-Woman, this new series introduces you to a longtime Marvel character who has a total solid place in the history of Marvel Comics. If you're an old school fan like me and you love Spider-Woman, it's just the next chapter in her life, and it's the character that you know and love in new, fun, and exciting circumstances. So this is only, like say, issue number 5. The legacy number is 100, so this is kind of one of those anniversary issues.
I think we have all of them on the
should have all 5 in stock. There's a whole range of great cover artists, and it's a really fun book. So you got a little hole in your budget or a little room in your reading. See, I'm with Michael.
You gotta repeat it for the folks on YouTube.
Okay, so read Spider-Woman because it's awesome. Get issues 1 through 5 and you'll love it. Michael says, as a kid, World's Finest was my favorite book because I got to see Batman and Superman together, and that's where I'm at. I love seeing the two of them in the same book. That's why I read Justice League as a kid, was because you got Superman and Batman and a whole bunch of other guys. And I read World's Finest for that same reason, because putting the two of them together is brilliant storytelling. Jeff Loeb's run of Superman Batman is 25 issues of some of the best superhero comics you'll ever read in your life, because Jeff Loeb nails their personalities. And that's so much more important than their powers or their car or their whatever it is.
What, speaking of, I'm tangenting. Jeff Loeb, where's he at? What's he doing?
Jeff Loeb is either at home rolling around on a giant pile of money, or he got a job. Marvel freed up his future, and I don't know
who does that. Like, who? It's like firing Alex Ross or something. Who would do that?
Yes, Phil. We ship to my home state of Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh.
Go Steelers! 5-0. We're beating the Titans. It's Stillers. Go Stillers. Yins know what I'm talking about. Yins going downtown.
Oh, don't get him started.
Don't get me started. Yes, we ship to places outside Pittsburgh and anywhere in the brilliant state of Pennsylvania. I imagine off the top of my head, it's probably about $10-12.
From New York.
There you go. We love New York too. We ship anywhere in the 48 continental.
Yeah.
To all of you watching, go to black-cat-comics.com, click on shop or click on subscriptions. We'll get your books out to you. So yes, Michael, getting back to it, I love it when the two of them are together. I love World's Finest. One of my favorite things back in the day was when they launched Superman Batman. People said to me, how come they never did this before? What a great idea for a comic. How come they never did? I said, yeah, they did it for about 40 years. It ran in a book called World's Finest from like 1958 till, I think they canceled it in like 85 or something. But when I was a kid, World's Finest was one of the most popular books there was. And like I say, love to see the two of them teaming up. So that's our stack for the week. There's always more books to talk about. All the X of Swords stuff that's going on, and
Werewolf by Night.
Came out this week. I know everybody's excited about that. If you tune in to Cosby's Classics next week, got some old school Werewolf by Nights that I'm excited to show you.
Spoiler.
But like I say, that's our stack for the week. While we wrap it up, you guys can let us know what's on your stack this week, what you're excited to read, what you're looking forward to.
Next week, we've got some great books coming out. So Spawn 311 with the Chadwick Boseman, Todd McFarlane tribute cover. So we've got a ton of those coming. So don't worry, we'll have plenty of those.
But order early anyway, because every time we say we have a ton, they go fast.
They go fast. There's also, I think the new Hellboy comes out next week too.
New Hellboy, yes.
Which we haven't seen one in a while, so I'm excited for that.
Three Jokers #3 is next week.
The final Jeff Johns 3-issue mini of Three Jokers comes out next week. So it's a big week. There's a lot of big titles next week coming.
Rolling into the big spooktacular that we're excited about. Excited to share those stories. So yeah, it's a good week of stuff. A good October. Hope you're all staying safe, staying sane.
Yes.
Hope you have fun plans for Halloween. I don't know what everybody's doing. Plans. I don't know if I highly doubt anybody's trick-or-treating this year. But, as I said in the newsletter this week, don't let it get by you. Decorate anyway. Carve a pumpkin. Watch that Charlie Brown special.
Throw some comics at some kids. Just like from 12 feet away, just like flick some comics at them.
Yes.
Like a Frisbee.
Something. Don't let Halloween get by you, because Halloween's tons of fun. Yes, Nicole, new Hellboy rolls out next week. And like she said, we haven't seen a new Hellboy in a long time.
Hellboy and BPRD.
So tune in Wednesday and check out the live video. I'll tell you everything that's out during the week. Then pick up your books from Wednesday to Saturday. Check them out. Read them, love them. Then tune in Saturday, and we'll talk all about them. Don't forget next Friday, Cosby's Classics at 6.
Yes.
Spooky Story Time at 7.
That's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun.
I'm excited.
Because it's Halloween, and that's what we do here.
And then Daniel's reminding us that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin is also coming out next week.
Let me warn you all ahead of time. If you didn't pre-order one, you're probably not getting one Wednesday. You're probably waiting for the reprint. And not just from me, I mean from the world.
Thank you, Phil. You have an awesome weekend yourself.
Last Ronin has been allocated, which means that shops will not receive the entirety of their order. We're all receiving about 80% of our order. So let me be the first to pre-warn you.
To disappoint you.
Well, here's my comic book guy conspiracy theory.
Nice.
They do this for some reason to drive sales on the second printing.
Demand.
And to because now the demand on the first print is already nuts. Because people know that the supply is short. So there's going to be a lunatic demand for that book on Wednesday. Do not pay $100 for it. Give it a couple of days. Let stores figure out what's what. But just to say, if you haven't pre-ordered one, your store might not have one available. So just to throw that out there. But again, before you spend a ton of money on eBay for it, give it a couple of days, call around to shops, get online, see what the deal is. Or just wait for the inevitable second printing.
Yes.
But like I say, just wanted to throw it out there.
Preemptively.
Side note to this point, Marvel and DC spoil us all very much because Marvel and DC are large corporations that do large print runs of things. All the other guys don't have that money.
Yeah.
I don't care Image, Dark Horse. I don't care how big the other guys are. Print runs are tight. This is a business. They can only do what they can pay for. Print runs get allocated. This kind of thing happens all the time. You guys just don't hear about it very much. But just to throw it out there, allocations happen. This week it's happening to Last Ronin. So be wary before you spend a lot of money on that issue.
Yes.
I
think that's it.
I guess that's that. Well, like I say, till next Wednesday, next Friday, next Saturday. Oh, one more. Tune in tomorrow. Matchbox versus Hot Wheels, 2:00. Can't miss that. Hot Wheels is on a tear.
That's
Get
on
out there.
Facebook for those of you on YouTube.
Root for Matchbox. So until next week, from Black Cat Comics and Rockin' Milpitas, I'm Mark.
I'm Francie.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys. Thanks.